Sean O'Malley is the biggest pay-per-view fraud in the UFC. If you listen to Dana White, the UFC, or even Sean O'Malley himself, you think he's some huge star, when in reality, nobody cares about you, you're boring, and you have no personality.
I'm the biggest star in the UFC right now. Conor's not really in the UFC. John Jones, he retires in November.
Islam. Just because he has like 7-8 million followers on Instagram.
I know,
he's
but
a big...
I'd him up.
So O'Malley thinks he's the biggest pay-per-view star after maybe John Jones. Can you just name 3 people who you think are bigger pay-per-view stars than Sean O'Malley?
Charles Oliveira, John Jones, Conor McGregor, Alex Pereira, and I'd even say Islam Makhachev because he has the Eastern world seems to like him a lot. So I would say all of those.
Volkanovski, Colby Covington.
Max Holloway as well. Colby Covington is a good one too.
Yeah, there's just so many people ahead of him. But since the UFC markets him so much, people think that he's some kind of star, but he's the casual star. If you guys don't know it already, Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman became stars in the UFC because when the UFC market him to someone, they're basically like, hey, here are our stars, and you're going to like them. And NPCs in this world are going to listen to him. Ever wonder why Taylor Swift got so popular around females in the world? It's because the media just shoves them in the girls' faces, goes, she's an amazing singer, you're going to love her. It's the same.
It's so crazy because people will hear that someone's a star and be like, oh, all right, I'm going to like him, rather than actually liking people. You and me started liking Oliveira before everybody else did. Me and you liked Alex Pereira before everybody else did. Leon Edwards, they don't market these people, but people will hear, Adesanya's cool, cheer for him. Even though this guy's, like, we don't like Adesanya, the last stupid bender. Yeah. I mean, he's like a cringe lord. Yeah. As Sean Strickland said, but because the UFC and people say he's a star, it's weird how people just believe it. And Sean O'Malley is a perfect example of that.
Sean O'Malley, if you guys watch his interviews leading up to the Sterling fight or the Jan fight, he had no personality and he had no big moment in either one of those fights other than maybe pre-rehearsed lines. And he's good on Twitter because he's got like an hour to come up with something. And I'm sure he has a bunch of pothead friends who are actually funny and actually have personality who tell him what to say. Because that's the only people Sean O'Malley's actually popular with. He's popular with probably high school, college age guys who smoke a lot of weed. And honestly, if Sean O'Malley looked like Roman Kopylov, he wouldn't be a star. Sean O'Malley is a star only on his look, and the UFC capitalize on that. And they put in a lot of money into marketing this guy, and they're happy he's a champion because it's almost like a positive investment on it. But even besides his non-existent personality, he's also not like an exciting fighter as people make him out to be. Sure, he's an exciting fighter because he's a striker, but they act like he's putting on fights like Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira when he's just not.
Well, the UFC is definitely happy that he is the bantamweight champion because he's definitely more popular than some of these other guys. Like Aljo obviously wasn't very well liked. Merab, Henry Cejudo, Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen is a great fighter, but not the most entertaining guy. So obviously the UFC is happy about this, but I agree with you 100%. Based on his look and based on his fighting style, especially when he was at the Dana White Contender Series, they're like, okay, this guy's a potential star. We're going to promote this guy. And they promoted this guy, and ever since he fought UFC 269, I don't remember who he was.
I don't know who the guy is. Was it the Brazilian guy?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who his name is, but...
I don't even think he's in the UFC anymore, so that's all right. But ever since he fought UFC 269, he hasn't had any great performances. You know, he fought Pedro Munoz, and that was an eye poke, and they ended up just giving him the Petr Yan fight, and we both think that Sean O'Malley clearly lost in the fight. He did hang on and hang in with Petr Yan, which was impressive at the time, because Petr Yan seemed unbeatable at that time, which was impressive. But as you mentioned before, that was a big pay-per-view. No personality in the interview, no personality after the fight, nothing.
For a win like that, you would have thought that O'Malley would have been the talk of the town, and he wasn't. And if you look back at that fight, other than a big knee and a cross Sean O'Malley landed, he didn't land anything like fantastic other than that. And I actually rewatched the fight ahead of O'Malley's fight versus Sterling, and I honestly thought that Jan won 30-27. He was landing so many big shots. The amount of time Sean O'Malley's eyes were rolling in the back of the head was crazy because Jan was hitting with such clean shots, and he had a great win against Sterling. We can't deny that, but...
Yeah, to be fair, though, although he knocked him out, some people might think I'm kind of picking on him here. Although he knocked him out, it wasn't the most entertaining fight until he hit him. I don't even think I watched this fight recently. I don't think I saw O'Malley land a clean shot besides that right hand that he landed. That Oliveira versus O'Malley fight should be entertaining, but as we mentioned before, O'Malley is the casuals champ, and the casuals don't buy the pay-per-views.
And what I think is important too is, I feel like for a lot of hardcore fans, mostly casual fans, but a lot of hardcore fans as well, the hype is what makes the fights. Volkanovski versus Topuria, that's a great fight, but you're not as hyped as Oliveira versus Makhachev. or Jones versus Gane, that was super hyped up because there was just hype around it. There is no hype to watch O'Malley fight. You might be like, oh, an O'Malley fights this weekend. Oh, that's cool. The casual, oh, the guy with the weird hair is fighting this weekend. That's where they get all this stuff. But I doubt the numbers even show he's a big pay-per-view star. But for me, looking into the future, he's not someone I'm hyped to fight or see fight. I'm like, oh yeah, O'Malley's fighting this weekend. Oh yeah, cool. It's a pay-per-view, whatever. But I'm not hyped to watch him fight.
I think O'Malley is at best a strong co-main event, but
Yeah.
I just feel like hardcore fans are not super excited to see this. I'm surprised that him versus Chito Vera was a main event. I figured that.
That's a co-main, man.
I figured that they would have that one underneath Oliveira Makachev.
That's a great co-main underneath McGregor Chandler. That's a great co-main. But Sean O'Malley, in my opinion, is not main event material, at least yet, because there's no personality. Again, other than these potheads who are casuals, no one really is hyped to see him fight.
Yeah, and there's so many people who are more popular than O'Malley, but because the UFC doesn't tell you this guy's popular, these NPCs, they hear that and they don't think these guys are actually popular. Alex Pereira and Charles Oliveira are definitely more popular than them, and for sure Colby Covington is.
Yeah, if the UFC marketed Oliveira like they did O'Malley, oh my God, imagine how big of a star he'd be.
And Colby Covington is essentially what O'Malley acts like he is in terms of personality-wise.
Imagine Covington with the look of
Yeah, that's what I
O'Malley.
was saying. And the fight style, because Covington, let's be
Yeah.
honest, the heavy wrestling is not super well liked.
But
by people,
Covington,
so-
Covington comes in with these crazy suits and stuff to kind of get that O'Malley effect, but he also makes fights entertaining. The reason everyone's so hyped up for Edwards versus Covington is because of the pre-hype or the pre-fight build-up. The press conference is going to be crazy. All the interviews, even Colby's doing outside of just the UFC press conference, it's going to hype that fight up so much. O'Malley can't do it because he's just not, has no personality, and honestly, he's just not an entertaining person to be around, nor even watch fight.
If you watch UFC 280 press conference, I swear O'Malley just showed, in my opinion, that he's not super high pay-per-view worthy, because he didn't really do much trash talk to Piotr Jan, but when Piotr Jan said that he looks like a hooker,
a whore on the corner of the street,
he just goes, that's a good one. Do you think Conor McGregor or Colby Covington would have let that slide? They wouldn't have let that slide, and they would have probably hit him back with something that was a lot more funny. But because O'Malley doesn't have much of a personality, he just goes like, oh, that's a good one. That was a good one.
And then at UFC 276, that was the press conference that Sean Strickland destroyed Adesanya in. Do you even remember O'Malley being on that press conference? Because I don't.
I don't remember that.
He wasn't even the most popular Sean.
I literally think he got asked one question. I remember you told me, he goes, Sean was the highlight of that press conference, and I thought he was talking about O'Malley. And O'Malley had to answer one question, and it was a typical basic NPC. It's gonna be a great fight. I'm gonna knock it out. There's nothing much there. O'Malley's definitely. People say that he's a star, and as we said, NPCs believe it. But when you see the pay-per-view numbers, you know that O'Malley isn't much of a star, and the hardcore fans would rather see other fights like Charles Oliveira or even Edwards versus Covington.
Yeah, and he's fighting Chito Vera, which he actually made a video on about why he shouldn't have got the title shot. Go check that out. Thank you guys for watching this video, and leave us your comments basically saying O'Malley isn't a pay-per-view star, because this is not a discussion, this is just a fact.